Like, what's that one piece of advice that changed your life?
Learning to love yourself. We get caught in a world to where we care so much about what others think that I think we conform and cripple our own core values in the seeking of praise from others. How can you be the best business owner?
There's one thing that's 100% true. We're all going to get old one day. You can't change it. We're all going to be 65 plus one day. There's no stopping it. Why not do something about today and not wait till tomorrow or a year or 2 years, or even if you have kids?
Podcast today, the number one podcast in the world. Today I've got a guest all the way from Utah, Kyle and Skylar. Today's episode is going to be super important for all of you that are overpaying in taxes, want investment strategies. So stick around to the end. We're going to be dropping some bombs today. Kyle, tell me a little bit about where you're from. Skylar, go right after him. Tell me what is Elevation Wealth Planning, and welcome in.
Yep. Well, thanks for having us. It's awesome to be here in Texarkana.
DCAB.
DCAB.
This is even smaller than Texarkana now.
It's beautiful. We're here.
Of
We're here.
1,400 people.
I know, it felt like 1,300, but I'm glad you clarified 1,400. So, I'm Kyle Burton from Utah, born and raised, co-founder of Elevation Wealth Planning. We are the top wealth management firm in the Western United States, working to take that over nationally. 20 amazing people on staff, manage just under $500 million of client assets, 8 years in to the business, awesome. 30 years old. So we'll talk a lot about not letting your past be an excuse to limit you to the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. So I'm Skylar Coe, an advisor on the Elevation team, also the director of operations. Been in the business for 6 years now. I actually met Kyle in school.
At college.
Wow.
Yep.
That's awesome.
At college, we met and got connected. And
We
then
both
I didn't know that.
at the same time.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, what's
both had
that trend going on here?
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Of our 20 on staff, we have
We're about 50-50.
50-50 bald.
Wow.
So one of our, it's not documented, but one of our hiring questions is, what's the heritage of your family's hairline? And that's a qualifying event as to who and who we don't hire.
Gotta have their shiny heads. We only have one. He's behind the camera, Zeke.
Yeah. Best
He's
looking
like
one in the room.
Andy's twin brother or something.
Yeah,
That's what Lazy calls
and then
him.
you should wait to see his kid. His kid's, how old is he, Zeke? Like 1?
Yeah.
And like he shows up and he's just bald headed like Zeke.
Yeah, it's a good.
And looks like him identically. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
High energy.
Yeah, so to our audience today, we're going to be talking about a lot of wealth planning. I got you down here to talk to our sales team,
Yeah.
our whole staff, because I see a lot of companies out there, they don't invest in their teams, they don't invest in the people around them, and they don't know like what kind of investment strategy are out there. So talk a little bit about what is Elevation Wealth Planning, like who are your clients, who do you go at, like what is your target audience?
Yeah.
And talk a little bit about that.
I would say what makes us unique in the planning world is how we approach the relationship with money and our clients. Planning is not done through the lens of a product. My advice to anyone that's meeting with an advisor, if they ever lead with strategy first or product first before understanding your goals, you should smell the commission breath and politely dismiss the conversation. Because planning is done on a very individualized basis. And so with our strategy and structure with clients, number one, it's delivering on the promises that we make. We believe that every client relationship is founded on trust, truth, and transparency, and an active and ongoing relationship. Because when we're meeting with clients, we're not trying to solve every single problem or fear that they have or things that they don't know are going to happen in 30 years from now. And so when we design strategy, it's with foresight and intentionality, but that strategy will shift and change. For example, things we're seeing on the political sphere. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of strategies that advisors implemented 4, 5, 6 years ago that were great at the time, but if they're not evolving, they're going to become irrelevant with the changes that are happening on Capitol Hill. And so what makes us unique is our relationship with clients first. I would say our average client is a self-made individual. They're, Gen 1 to Gen 3, whether it's a entrepreneur, business owner, pre-post retiree, and it's people that really value altering the trajectory of their last name. We love working with clients that have a story Some of our clients inherited companies and things, but a lot of our clients, they are who they are because of what they've done, not because of what they've been given. And those conversations are so much, in my opinion, so much more sacred and powerful when you're working with somebody that truly values what they have, but they want direction and leadership on how to take that to the next level and really elevate the wealth and the trajectory of what they're building.
So what's most business owners, like I know so many that don't even have anything when it comes to putting money aside, putting money back, investing in the future. What's the biggest thing that entrepreneurs, whether they're 23 like I am, or, in their 40s, is it too late when you're in the 40s and 50s? Like when's I have a Chinese proverb. It was the best time to plant a tree 10 years ago, but the next best time is today.
Yeah.
So with you guys, what is the best strategy when, with, like you said, with the political view that we're looking at today of, the corporate tax, individual self-employment tax, stuff like that company owners in my space are looking at? What can you do and what can you offer to not pay that much in taxes?
Yeah. Well, I think to your point on the Chinese verb, if we could design it, we'd be in every single hospital at birth and the moment a child is born, signing them up for their planning, right? But, I would never say it's too late. There's obviously, the sooner you do it, the better. Compounding interest works on time. It's not your aspirations or desires, it's actual time put in. But with business owners, I would say first and foremost, it's important to understand your cash flow. How are you managing cash flow, specifically through bank account structuring? So we work a lot with clients on helping them to structure a good system and process as revenue hits in, segregating taxes, expenses, their owner's distribution, future growth, really assigning a duty to the dollar. From there, it's recognizing that your best rate of return the majority of the time as a business owner is yourself. The best stock that you guys could have bought 23 years ago was Kolton and Kyler, because look what that's turned into today.
Right.
And so don't get hung up on the ideology that there's some mythical, cryptocurrency or stock or investment out there. If I can be blunt, if it's outperforming your business, that's a problem with your business, where you should do some internal self-reflection, right?
I agree. Yeah.
And so for us, again, it's comes down to every single client and what their exit strategy is, their valuation. And so not giving specific advice, but broad advice. Number one, manage cash flow. Number two, do you have a great relationship and understanding of how to manage the tax game? There's four angles of taxation. Number one is the income, revenue. Number two is the growth on the dollar or the accumulation of the business. Number three is the distribution of the money out of the business or the sell of the business. And number four is the transfer. I believe that if God blesses you with great opportunity, whether that's personally, professionally, or financially, you should leave it better than you found it. And how many people do you know that use the comment of, hey, my grandpa was super successful, but that doesn't translate into their life today. And so I just believe as business owners, we should leave it better than we found it and altering our legacy.
I love that.
And so we help clients master the four angles of taxation, because if I can help through good planning, deliver strategy that reduces the impact of taxes today, tomorrow, and in the future, that is such a higher net rate of return on your dollar than the S&P 500 averaging 7% over the last 30 years. And so it's not to say that those things don't matter, but let's not overlook the value of driving efficiency of what's already in front of you. Don't step over a dollar to pick up a penny. So first understand your cash
A lot of
flow.
business owners do that.
They do, because they're trying to chase the next big return.
Right.
I'm like, let's do some self-reflection.
Yeah.
And to be clear, we don't make money on those strategies, right? So what makes us different? I'm not charging a client to sit down and go through that, but I know if we can deliver value, that then delivers a relationship where the rate of return is met to us.
For years.
For years.
Well, I think that just goes back to what you said before. It's the plan.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what's going on politically or with taxes. Our planning has already stress tested that. We've already ran the simulations, ran the modeling to where, when we meet every 6 months with our clients, we run the modeling, go, what it looks like.
Yeah.
Regardless of all the different events that are going on. Because really the only, perfect financial plan is the one you implement.
Right. And stick to it and not have the microwave like mindset.
Yeah.
I think that's what like most business owners, especially if you're 23 my age, you want it now. You don't want to wait 10 years. You don't want to even wait 2 years. If I can't see the result today, then I'm not willing to wait for tomorrow. And that's what I had to understand in business. If I did something today, if I did a marketing change today, if I implemented a strategy today, I might not see that strategy pay off for years to come, but I know it was the right decision for the business today.
But what do most business owners do when they don't see the return in 3 months?
Oh, they cut it off.
Abandon ship.
Yep. Cut it.
And the issue
And not
is,
just business owners, just anybody that.
no, it's everybody. Because think of the timeliness.
We're in a
of
microwave society.
Oh yeah.
They want a crypto return of 25% a month.
Oh right. And if they're not getting 20, they're like, what am I doing? I'm going broke.
Yeah.
Right. Like we need to put things in perspective. But even it's like, okay, what do you want for dinner? What's this recipe? We can literally have a recipe in 13 seconds on our phone while we're walking to our car to go grab the charger because our phone's dying.
Or DoorDash. I mean, if I'm hungry in 20 minutes, I don't even have to leave my couch and the doorbell rings and it gets delivered to my front door.
Saturday, watching college football. My wife took our kids with her friends to go swimming. The youngest was home with me sleeping. So I'm like, man, I'm hungry. We didn't hit the grocery store yet. Didn't get Costco, which I noticed your guys' Costco is like 3 hours away.
Yeah, we have Sam's
I
Club.
was gonna say I did see a Sam's.
Praise God. Praise God. There is something here. Okay, good.
Yeah, better.
Literally from
Sam's Club.
kickoff to middle of the first quarter, I had fresh sushi delivered to my house and I didn't leave the couch. Right? It's just, so we set those expectations in our life and then we believe that those same expectations should be met in our finances, which isn't true. It's just not the reality of the world.
And I think also a lot of business owners, they go into business, they're always, I don't know the statistics, but they always leave a business and say, I can do better than my boss did, so I'm going to go start my business to become wealthy for myself. But then what they find out, it's actually harder than they thought, and they struggle for 5 years or even a year, and then they go out of business and start working for that guy again, or they'll do the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. If you would just stick to that one thing for 5 years, 10 years, you can be a great entrepreneur, great intrapreneur. It doesn't matter. But you gotta have to think, COVID was almost 5 years ago. It seems like it was yesterday.
Wow.
Yes, I mean, all we have 24 hours in a day.
You have to
That's
think,
makes me
2015 was only 10 years ago. It seems like it was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So talk to our audiences. So the Young CEO podcast is all about reaching the younger generation. We got young CEOs, salespeople. They're paying a ton in taxes. They're at the stage where, because we've got 5 people on our CPA or on accounting team plus our tax attorney, doing cost segs and doing all that. Working on the back end. But if you're in a business where you're not at that level yet, like speak to that group of saying, hey, you're working for a company, you're a W-2 employee. How do we save some taxes? I've got 200K in the bank, or I've got 100K in the bank.
Yep.
It looks good, but that money's just like with inflation. Talk about inflation. Talk about that money needs to go to
Well,
work.
if it's sitting in the bank, inflation's eating up, 7% a year?
Yeah, it's trailing down, but there's a reason why banks give you a dum-dum sucker when you leave. Go try to take out that 200 grand in cash. Good luck. Right? Because what do banks do?
Yeah, you heard it. The dum-dum sucker, they hand it to you.
No, they literally give you dum-dum suckers. I tested it. I went to Chase with my son. And what did they do? Honey, do you want a sucker? And they hand the baskets. And I'm like, don't be a dum-dum. Right? But why do banks love us? Because they use our capital to make capital.
Yeah.
They go borrow.
They go lend it. Right? Kyler comes in. He's going to start another business. He needs 200 grand. Well, they scrape off other people's money and they lend it to him. They're going to charge him 7%. They're going to give him 2 dum-dum suckers for the business because they appreciate his good looks. But then from there, they're going to yield that 7% back. And so what I think about is, number one, like the strategy is in your face. People are just abusing and using your money to make money on you. You should do it on your own. If you're a W-2, and I can also speak to 1099, if you've got, your young CEO podcast that where the audience is building their own business, because there are different structures. W-2, you're on an employee base. So very simple things you can do. Looking at using a qualified plan offered by your employer. Are they offering a 401k?
Right. I have a matched 401k. Nobody uses it.
It's free money that they're
Free
leaving on
money.
the table.
They can double their money every month, but nobody chooses to use it because they don't understand what it is.
It's a lack of education. And that's where, we're thankful we're working with guys like you, that you guys are investing into your team to provide them knowledge. Because think about it. People will work with a company for a couple reasons. Number one, good pay, because they got to provide for their family. Number two, culture. And number three, do they feel like you're investing in them and they see themselves as a part of the future?
Number 4 is health insurance and benefits and paid time off.
Right. And maybe a
Paid time off's a big one.
For us, it's push-ups every day, right? But you think about that, for one of your employees to leave and knowing what Kyler and Kolton did for them by bringing in a team, which, to be clear, you're not paying us to do. We're not charging you to do. We paid for our own flights. To come in and invest in them, they go home and they know that they can better their family because of the environment that their employers have created. You just built loyalty to the brand. And so it's the other reason of why are there so many business owners that aren't implementing strategies and leaving so much tax money on the table. I promise you, it's not because they like paying taxes. They just don't know where to go. Right? If you Google, how much money do I need for retirement? Do you know there's 1.6 billion answers? Zeke, test me, on Google search right now. How much money do I need for retirement? The total amount is 1.6 billion. Do you think someone's going to just start reading through 1.6 billion answers, or they're just going to be like, you know what, that's way too much information. I don't know who to trust. I don't know which one's right. I'm just going to put it away and not think about it.
Those answers also aren't relevant to them at all. Because it's just a static, oh yeah, you need $1 million and you can retire.
$1 million is nothing.
How much income are you taking? What's the tax?
by the time- yeah.
What are taxes like?
Well,
By the time you retire,
I think the biggest thing that I had to learn this at a very young age, is most business owners and entrepreneurs, they're so focused on bringing top line revenue, they're not worried about the bottom line because they're like, they've been taught, all right, top line. I got to bring in the cash.
Yep.
And if they would just focus and hire a great CPA, just a great CPA that actually wanted to go outside and do the research and not just your local H&R Block. I love them to death. But H&R Block is not going to go and say, hey, you can do this, this, and this. They're going to be like, there's your return. We'll file it for you. Here's how much you owe. Versus a great CPA or a tax attorney will actually go and say, all right, you fit in this section over here. We can take this, a lot of people don't even use Section 179.
It's sitting down, just like Kyle said. He's here. We're investing in our team because our team culture. Because there's two things that we care a lot about, which is our core values and our culture values. Yeah. That's those are two things that we look at. And if I'd go to any company, if I'd start any company, start more of these, those two things is what number one, I would install a culture and a core value. That's two things.
Absolutely.
And out of that culture values, we do workouts, we do team meetings, we do, we brought you down. That wealth planning, you can go get a great CPA. So I'll challenge you on that, because you can go get a CPA, but that CPA is not going to tell you, hey, you should probably go get a wealth planner to help you put some money here in this life insurance policy and use it as a bank. And I want you to talk on that, because we started one 5 years ago. And I was just putting it away like a savings account. Because most humans, if you see it, this is even in businesses, this is what we've learned in business. If the money is sitting in there and all of a sudden you get a big cash transfer into your bank account, you're like, now we're a big business. Now we need to go hire 5 more people. Well, will those 5 people actually, are they going to Forex their numbers, or does it just look like you have a lot of cash in there?
Right.
So if you get that money out as fast as it came, like get it into a savings account, like the life insurance policy. I want you to talk on that, but put that money away. And a lot of people, they're missing the point, because you're right. They're rush. I want to get my top line revenues up. I'm worried about the business. Their expertise is growing the business. It is not wealth planning. Get someone like Kyle here with Elevation Wealth Planning. It doesn't have to be them. Get someone, if it's not them, get someone that can help you with that.
Yeah,
Talk about that. Talk about the life insurance policies and tax.
Well, before you go, me and him when I picked him up from the airport, we were just talking about just a regular everyday business person. And most businesses, if the top guy, there's something that would happen to him, which is, you can talk about it, which we did COLIs, if that's the name, company-owned life insurance policy. On the key, Walmart does this. You can talk on that. Walmart does this on their key employees, and there's probably every other major corporation. So you're hedging a bet on your main key employees that if something happened to that person, or let's say me, or the owners, if that person, something would happen, let's say even he was hospitalized for 6 months, what would happen to the business? 9 times out of 10, it would go under, because as soon as that top guy stops working in the business, there's nothing left. He is the business. And so if you have a company-owned life insurance policy on the business as well as just individual, that policy pays the business and not just you personally to keep the business afloat and keep going.
But so think about that though. So let's say you're dealing with two partners that are both in marriages or relationships. Let's say the company's worth $10 million and the company split 50-50 between the two. I'm going to use you both for example. Let's just say you're both married, and heaven forbid Kolton gets hit by a bus. Number one, there would be, I would argue, a decline in revenue no matter who it happened to, because you're losing a key player on the team. You take a Tom Brady out of the team, you take a Peyton Manning, I'm sure you can go find an Aaron Rodgers to replace, but it's not going to be as good as that person was, because they're not going to come in day one understanding the culture, understanding the vision, understanding the people, the systems, the procedures, understanding the product, right? You touring us around, I kept telling Scott, I was like, this is amazing. I was like, yeah, I know lumber, I know windows, I'm a part of a window company, I know these things, but I'm like, some of the things you were talking about with Dad and your crew down there, I was like, is he speaking like Chinese? Like, what is this Delta arbitrage? I'm like, what in the world? And so I might have
modular home language.
Yeah, I'm like, holy cow, I felt smart. But, you know, something happens to Colt and Kyler calls me and says, hey, will you come step in the business? Yeah, I've ran multiple companies. I've sold multiple companies, but I wouldn't understand your business.
Right.
Right. So there's the issue of that, but let's talk about the legality behind that. We're not attorneys, so this is just perspective. Is something happens to you, your spouse now owns $5 million of the company. You might love his spouse, but you might not want her to be showing up in the corner office every single day. Mm-hmm. So the question is,
that's why you have great company agreements, though.
Great company agreements, but also you got to look at it from the perspective of, does the company have the cash flow to buy out that surviving partner spouse? $5 million. I'd argue that $5 million in any company would restrict and limit the ability to grow. It could bankrupt the company. So having corporate-owned policies allows for, number one, be able to replace that person or provide a supplement of cash flow. But number two, buy out the equity to make the partner surviving spouse whole, but now the company can operate on its own and continue to grow without worrying about the politics and logistics of someone's spouse who may not even want to be a part of the company anymore for many reasons.
Or even if they would, they might not have anything to offer.
Right. Again, if you are an equity owner in a company, in my opinion, it's because you drive tremendous value to the company or the brand. Right. So coming back to your thought on planning ideas, right? There's a million things you can do. Again, I'd encourage everybody to sit down with a licensed advisor that's regulated in the industry on both the investment and the insurance side. And I'd also say someone that can walk the talk. I think what makes us so valuable to business owners is clients know that I am a business owner. I built and sold multiple companies. I own multiple companies outside of Elevation Wealth Planning. And so when I'm talking through tax strategy, when I'm talking through leverage and utilization of different accounts and structures, because I do all those things personally. I think a lot of clients have never asked their advisor, what do you do with your money? And if that advisor is not doing what you're hoping to do, it's like hiring a personal trainer that you're like, well, I would never want to look like them. Then why'd you hire them? Like the personal trainer, trainer that I have.
Tell me, well, I invest in crypto. I'm like, well, put my money where your money is. You're going to take care of your money way better than mine.
Yeah, if they're not going down the trail that you're wanting to walk down, like, why'd you hire them as your guide, right? So broadly speaking, we see a lot of clients with us that will implement planning on a personal basis, an estate planning basis, and a business basis. On the business side, we're typically using a lot of qualified planning, different executive comp packages, 401k, 409a, things that deliver and allow the client to really drive down the tax bill that's created inside of the corporation by shelling money away for their future selves versus just giving it all to the IRS. There's a lot of creative things you can do for your key employees, different corporate structures, vesting schedule, golden handcuff planning, group benefits. Now on the personal side, utilizing different professionally wealth managed accounts that do provide some tax deductible abilities up front or along the way, utilization of life insurance structures. Again, I would sit down with someone that is registered and licensed in this space, because we're seeing a lot of, we call them the TikTok advisors. They get up and start talking.
Like
and
a
I'm
TikTok lawyer.
Oh, the amount of clients that have sent me TikTok videos saying, I want to do this. I'm like, well, that's not actually how it works, but we can start the conversation.
I want to be my own bank.
I want to be my
I
own
said
bank.
that
I'm
stuff
like,
to my
you
CFO all the
can.
time. And he's like, well, it doesn't work like that, but we can do something similar. And I'm like, great. Well, that's the only thing I wanted.
Just use a smell test. If it feels and smells too good to be true,
It is.
that doesn't mean that there's not truth within it, but it's a lot of
You're
times.
stretching the story a little bit.
Yeah, and I'll look up these people and I'm like, well, they've never actually held an investment or insurance license.
Yep.
So that's why they can get on TikTok and say those things, because if it doesn't work out for you, there's no legal binding to the advice that they gave them.
True.
So that's why with our clients, we're fiduciary based. We hold all credentials and licenses, because when we give advice, it is legally suitable to the client. So that's why I never get on a podcast and I say, you should buy this, do that, because again, that's a commission play from someone that's unregistered.
True.
But generally speaking, here's to your point, right? COLI, corporate owned life insurance in general. It can be a very powerful tool if structured properly. Under IRS tax code, it's section 7702. If done right, you can house money on a post-tax basis, so after-tax dollars, into a structure that grows tax deferred, and if structured properly, can be taken out tax-free on the back end. There's ways within what are called I blocks, insurance-backed line of credits, to where you can have a spread of arbitrage on money if done right. You'd want to use good AAA rated insurance paper.
Which is good for business, because in business, your cash flow is the biggest thing that holds companies from growing, or even, on a companies I would say every 5 years go through a cycle. They have 4 good years and 1 bad year. But on that bad year, you in your worst, you need cash. And if you don't have cash flow, then if you have a line of credit, that's your own money anyway. That saves the business, or you can use that cash to grow, but you invested and it's still growing while you're using your own cash.
Look at Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo owns BOLI, which is bank-owned life insurance. Last time I checked the numbers, and this was probably 15 months ago, they had over $16 billion in life insurance.
Wow.
So again, clients are like, oh my gosh, I heard about this. Why have I not heard that before or whatnot? I'm like, well, it's been in front of your face. You're just walking by it. Here's your dum-dum sucker, right? And so these strategies,
That doesn't he?
It was like that.
it's so true though. Next time you go to the bank, you're gonna be like, man, Kyle was right. He was right. I can't eat this now. I'll throw it
So
away.
what are some steps? Like, what are business owners, individuals, salespeople? What's the step? Like, what can they? What's a good start?
Call us.
Yeah. Call a wealth plan. Like call your.
Call us. Call a licensed advisor. That
And does
can-
it cost?
No.
Yeah.
No cost to consult. We get paid on assets.
So
under
same
management.
cost. You either take your money to the bank, they give you a dum sucker,
Yeah.
or they call you and they get a planning. Like, what is that step? What do you provide?
Yeah,
on the
so
first call?
we sit down with a client on a confidential basis, understanding what their goals are. We look at where they're at today and what's working well. I'm big believers of don't fix what isn't broken. And so if I'm sitting down with a client, they've got these strategies, great. How do we magnify those and make them even better? Okay, you've got some inefficiency here on tax of your income. Let's integrate this plan to deduct that. You're carrying this much cash. Let's set this up under this structure for leverage. But it's all customized and designed to them. So that first meeting, typically 30 minutes, is a confidential fact-finding opportunity for us to understand you, your business, and your goals. We're not pitching product. Because again, how can you position a plan with an outcome that you're unaware of that they're trying to
Well, it was
And that's
three,
personal. That's personal and business.
personal and business?
With it, you can do it with your business and your personal.
All of it.
Yeah.
It was 3 or 4 months before I asked him after did I get my personal stuff sent over yet? I'm the worst. I need
Nate's
an
still waiting
assistant.
for it.
I do have a life insurance policy. I'm just swapping everything over. But I think the biggest thing is when I started asking you, hey, what can I do for my business? Because you have I have a lot more cash flow in my business than personal income because I don't want to transfer all of that to me.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, what can our business do that we can write it off? And you name
There's
all of these
charities.
things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wow, like, why did I not know this 5 years ago? And you were like, well,
You get so
most
busy.
of the time
you get so
we
busy
weren't ready
building the
for
bu-
it though.
Right. You get so busy building the business that you just don't think of the.
Well, you don't even realize it's out there.
Yeah, you got to keep the main thing the main thing. And I think that's where relationships like this are so powerful because all of our business is built on referrals. It's built on a trusted
I
relationship.
bet your other clients don't put you on a podcast, though, do they?
And they're not as good looking. But
You're gonna have to let us know in the comments if I need to go bald or what.
yeah,
Like
the
I've had
podcast
week
is
over
more-
bald, and I'm just seeing more and more bald people. So I'm
Well,
aware of it.
if you guys feel like the minority here, we've done our job. Yeah. So we are very aerodynamic in both growing money and in how we operate. But a comment you made earlier, right, with your audience of young entrepreneurs becoming CEOs, here's the steps that I'd implement. Number one, have a great relationship with cash flow. Number two, you need to truly separate business from personal. Having business bank accounts, we walk our clients through, we call the Elevate First system, setting up separate accounts for tax, expense, investment, distribution, etc. So assigning a duty, and then making sure, do you have a company credit card? Are you tracking things separately from your business? I work with a lot of clients, especially athletes, and those that are, in a very niche market to where they say, man, taxes really bit me in the butt this year because I didn't do a great job tracking my expenses. This is not a plug for American Express, but American Express will literally send your CPA a statement of everything that you spent and categorize it as to what it was. My CPA says, what did you spend? I go and print the PDF, send it to her, and I don't even think about it.
Oh, mine
I
has
think
access.
mine just has access to it.
Yeah.
Mine pays the bill and everything.
Right. Well, that's
She
right.
pays my water. She pays my water.
Yeah. So are you
I
tracking
remember last time I
expenses?
paid a bill.
So I
No,
think-
even on a further, you don't have to do this, but I have a personal P&L on me.
yeah.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah,
yeah,
that I
step
get.
further.
We get-
Every,
we
I had,
But that's the reason. But
they
say
emailed,
this time.
they emailed
let
me
him
my
know.
report last night. I knew exactly how much net profit, exactly how much my rent was. They did everything.
So they just have access to they can print the
Yeah.
PDF ourselves.
So what we call that is a CAT, a collaborative advisory team. So what we do with our clients is I meet with their CPA, I meet with their estate planner, I meet with their business mentors so that everybody's on the same page. Because think about it, right? It's like, go get a CPA, go get this, go get a coach. But if all those parties are not working together, you've got a football team where the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator don't know each other. Good luck winning a Super Bowl.
Funny thing is, all of our CFO is from Utah.
Yeah.
They're all from Utah.
Great
Probably prank
water.
y'all with dinner or something.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
Great state, huh?
Yeah.
Our CPA's from Utah. Our CFO's from Utah.
Let him through Chris Crone.
Yeah.
Do you know Chris Crone?
I know of him. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. So it's just, you want to make sure that the team that you surround yourself with, they're all talking and working together. So we're spending a lot of our time right now with client CPAs because there's a lot of safe harbor plans that are tax deductible 401ks. If you're using them, they have to be set up by October 1st. So a lot of our clients get to the end of the year and they're like, man, I want to do this, this, and this. And we're like, it's too late.
To get to December. Go ahead.
No, I was just say I think a lot of people treat something like taxes as a lottery,
Yeah.
where they go, oh, here's all my numbers, and they spin the slot machine. And they go, oh,
I get 5,000 back this year.
I get 5,000 back, or I
Get 500,000.
I owe 500,000, and it shouldn't be like that. It should be a very orchestrated event where halfway through the year, 3/4 through the year, you should know exactly where you're going to be at.
So why do people
Have a
not want
tax
to?
assessment.
I feel like people don't want to know where they're going to be. Like they just wait till December, January, and they're like,
To figure it out.
Because
here's almost nothing. Hopefully,
They wait till April to file, or March to file an extension, and then they put it off till September.
yeah. But
And
again,
it's just snowballs from
but there's nothing you can do to reduce the tax bill at that point.
No.
Once the new year rolls around, like you have
done.
baked the bread. Like it's going to come out dry, moist, whatever it is, right? But I think a lot of people avoid it because what is the excuse that we hear from everybody? Oh, I'm so busy. Right?
Yep.
Like think
I don't
about
have time. I don't have
I'm
time.
too
think about
busy
the
to save $100,000.
Yeah, I'm too busy. Or it doesn't feel like a good rate of return because they're like, well, if I went and sold a tiny home right now, I could make profit. But me spending time away from the business, I'm losing potential sales. And it's something that I don't want to worry about or stress about because it is in the back of my mind. It's avoidance.
Yep.
It's the pain of dealing with the objective is greater in their mind in the moment than the future save of taxes later because they can't feel that return
Today.
immediately. But you can go feel walking down the hall and talking to your top sales leader, or Kyler bringing in, a mentor or coach for someone that he knows is struggling. There's an immediate return there. So you'd rather spend your time there, good or bad.
I like that.
There's so much that every week I'm on the phone with our CFO. I think a lot of entrepreneurs and company owners, they don't understand the difference in an asset class versus a liability class.
Mm-hmm.
That was my very first company 101 is we separated the two to know what's actually a liability and what's an asset.
Yeah.
But if you're in a business and you don't understand your numbers,
You don't know where you're at.
That's the number one thing I would get focused on.
It's exactly the comment that you made of knowing where you're at. Knowing it's the sales guys, knowing where your true numbers are. That is the great separator. No, always knowing where you're at.
Yep.
If you don't know, if you have no idea about your books or your tax planning or your investments, if you have no idea what your retirement is not a big deal, but it is.
It's gonna come sooner or later.
It's not a big deal until it's too late.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Right now, it's not a big deal, but
And it's not.
it is.
I don't even like the word retirement, and I'm in wealth management. I like the word financial independence.
I like that too.
Here's why. I feel like retirement is where you go to get away from something that you hated doing.
I'm
Right?
never gonna quit working then.
But think about financial independence. Our clients' desire is independence financially from income and their business, in the sense that if they decided to stop working,
They get to.
they can. That is
Or take a month off if they want to.
6 months off, right? 3 months off, to where their lifestyle, you get to a point where you need to stop working for your money and your money needs to start working for you. And so when you're a business owner, you're a dual professional. Skylar actually told me that phrase. Dual professional meaning, yeah, you guys are in the tiny home space, but you're also the CEO and the CFO. I know you have a CFO, but you have to think like a CFO. You have to understand where everything is at,
President,
not just how
everything.
to build and manufacture tiny homes. And a lot of people get so caught up in the bottom half of, I'm a great real estate agent or great at Instagram or this, that they forget the top and they never actually scale and grow. And if they stop working, their lifestyle comes to a screeching halt because they haven't built the financial wealth or independence to be able to do so.
Right.
That's what we help clients do.
Yeah, I think to a lot of people, like if you're brand new, if you're thinking like, where do I get started? Which you just told us, you gave a step by step, and it could look like it's a lot of work, but it's just getting started with just a little bit of things, just getting that phone call, just getting started with the business accounts, because you could be making 40 grand a month in commissions, but if you don't have a right strategy on how to save taxes, you're going to give most of that away.
38 to 40%.
Yeah.
Or if you don't start putting some of that away, you're always going to have to bring on the pressure and the stress to keep selling.
I talked to so many people that are making 20 grand a month and they're living paycheck to paycheck.
Yep.
They're just scraping by.
They just don't know where to go. And like you said, it feels like a lot. And the feedback we get from clients is they say so much pressure and stress has been alleviated because of we take it upon ourselves to deliver value. Let us do the work for you. You go and focus on what you're really good at. This is what we're really good at and what we enjoy doing.
Yep.
But people just don't know where to go. Again, you Google how much do I need for retirement, 1.6 billion answers. Like, good luck finding the right answer.
Yeah.
Some people are going to say 1.2
But the
million,
other thing,
3
is,
million.
guys, it doesn't matter. There's one thing that's 100% true. We're all going to get old one day. You can't change it. We're all going to be 65 plus one day. There's no stopping it. Why not do something about it today and not wait till tomorrow or a year or 2 years, or even if you have kids, I would like to see the math even at $50 a month back for your kids. Even at the age of 18 or 19 or 20, whenever they went to college, that college would be funded completely.
If you can't save while you're broke, you can't
You're
save
definitely not going to save while
you're rich.
Yeah, because there was a mentor that said if you can't save when you're making $500 a week, when you're making $50,000 a week,
You're
ain't
definitely
you're
gonna be
still going to be
spending it.
check to check.
The amount of clients that I have heard make comments of, yeah, this is great. Let's start it once I get to $1 million. Let's start it once I get to X. And we call them, we're like, hey, you got there. Like, well, but I had to hire more people and our lease went up and we bought this. I said, it's an endless cycle. Like you put yourself on a hamster wheel that will die when you die.
I've always, have you guys ever read the Profit First book?
Yeah.
We love the process.
That's our whole system.
I love it. But that whole mentality is, let's say my mortgage is $1,500. You get used to $1,500 coming out of your account every month. And you get used to, and you start living without that. It's the same way with investing. What I think Kyle's not saying is you have to have $1,500, $2,000 a month, $5,000 a month. You can start with $50. You can start with $1 if you want to.
$1 million starts with a penny.
And so the thing is, guys, you don't have to have $5,000 a month that you have to put back. You can put back $25 a month that your checking account's not even going to realize left. But the investment will eventually.
We tell clients, you will not love us the first 2 months when they start because it's new, right? It takes a minute to get adjusted to. You're breaking habits. But we tell them, you will learn to love us, especially when you see the reflection of your balance sheet. But those first 2 months, you just got to start.
Yeah, well, and that's the reason why 401ks become people's largest assets. A couple 50, 100, $200 a month is taken out of there.
I can't get it out.
No.
That's fine, but it's taken out of your paycheck before you ever see it, and it just sits and grows and compounds. Like some of our largest clients are, 60, 65, 70-year-old mom and pops who just put away money in their 401k for 40 years, and now they're multimillionaires.
And they can live comfortably every month.
Yep.
They don't have
But with inflation going up, it's going to cost more and more and more.
Yeah.
Well, that's why having a good advisor and and good wealth
I can
management
see that
team
coming.
that can outperform those things. The other thought too is when we're working with clients, the complaint that we hear, especially when they're older, is they say, man, I wish I would have known what was actually possible. Because they have all this stuff. They've got successful businesses and real estate and personal owned assets and jewelry and blah, 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 blah. But they never saw it brought together in a holistic fashion, in being able to have it all broken down as to here's what you can actually accomplish based on what you've done. I don't think you should ever live with regrets, but I think hindsight kicks in with older people where they say, man, if I would have had a good advisor and a holistic plan, we would have done things a lot differently. But they just don't know because it's all stuff versus a cohesive structure.
It's all true. Touch on Profit First before we leave here.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned, he started smiling when I mentioned Profit
yeah.
First. I'm like,
I love that book. I mean, it's
that changed
completely
that
changed our
changed
whole
our
business model.
whole business model.
Oh,
and we teach it
changed
to
up.
our guys, but you're going to touch on that tomorrow, right?
Yeah, so we've
awesome.
coined it as the Elevate First system.
Yeah, we totally ripped it.
Because, well, in the sense that we found that a lot of the philosophies behind it were great, but they didn't fully work pen to paper for our clients just due to the industries that they're in. And so with Profit First or the Elevate First system, what I really like about it is it teaches you how to have a good relationship with your money. So first and foremost, you have someone that gets a $40,000 commission. They didn't make $40,000, and I'm not even talking about taxes, right? You have $40,000 come in and you have the Elevate First system. Well, in our belief, you should have a tax account. We call it the boss account, income account or expense account, and Elevate account. So first and foremost, based on what your CPA's guidance is, holding anywhere from, let's call it 25 to 30% away of that check into your tax account. So you got a $10,000 commission. Well, you actually got $7 because $3,000 should go to the tax man. Because how many of us have been caught at the end of the year where the CPA pulls the Vegas
Raise
wheel
my hand.
and says, you owe 30,000, and you're like, oh my gosh, I wasn't planning for that. And then all of a sudden it's coming from one account because you didn't segregate your money. So now you feel
You're broke.
Now you feel broke. But when you have a duty assigned to that dollar, it wasn't your money to begin with. But a lot of our clients will do things like donor advised funds, 401k, because of the tax benefits there, to where they're
Because you might as well put it in there instead of paying.
wake up at 60 with an extra couple $1,000,000. Or again, if you're already
What's it gonna hurt?
you're already making donations, well, do it in an account where you get a tax deduction. Now that becomes your donation box and it's invested and you're using future growth to now fund the things you're already doing. Again, it's drive efficiency on what's already there. A lot of times you don't need to bring new strategies sometimes, but a lot of times it's just inefficient what you're doing. And then from there, you've got the boss account where you're living from. You've got your expense account, so growing the business, growing your brand, reinvesting in yourself. Then you have your Elevate account. We manage the Elevate account for our clients. So they have a $10,000 commission check hit in. They move 20% over to that account. We're then using that $2,000 to start building financial independence. So a lot of our clients in the sales space where their income is volatile, it's hard for them to say, hey, I'm going to save X amount every single month, because one month it might be 40, the next month it might be 10. So the first Wednesday of every month, my whole day is actually meeting with our clients, 15-minute phone calls. Hey, Kyler, how'd you do this month? How much is in that Elevate account? Boom, we get verbal, we pull it, and now we fund their accounts. But it's
And you're the number one spot. You're the sponsor of the Elliott Group, right?
yeah, we're the official planning partner.
Yep. I thought so.
Yeah,
That's awesome. They have a lot of salespeople.
a lot of salespeople. But again, it's there's fear to commit to a number when your income is volatile and unpredicted. It's easy to commit to a number on a monthly basis based on what you've already done. So find an advisor that will have that active relationship with you and can really mold the planning to what your life
I think
looks
what
like.
really changed our business is 2 years ago, me and Kyler, like, we were bringing in hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue, but we never saw it. And I think that's with most business owners is they see all of the money coming out or coming in, but it always goes out before the end of the month and there's nothing left for the owner. And so when me and Kyler said, stop, we implemented the proper, we read the book. In less than 2 weeks, we had 20 bank accounts set up, which was not easy by no means. That's signing. It spent a half a day just signing paperwork of getting it set up. Had to then called our CFO and said, hey, this is what we're doing. He was like, I love that book. I actually was going to recommend it. Let's do it. And now in just less than a year, our profit account has been higher than ever. There's actually money in there to pay the owners some contribution, because if
we had
not,
6 figures in a couple. Yeah, it was
if
fast.
not, you're going to always be struggling to even pay the owner gets paid last. It's a saying that for all entrepreneurs, the owner always gets paid last. But if you see $200,000 in the account or $100,000 or $50,000, you're like, well, I can actually go buy that piece of equipment now. So let me go buy that. And then you're down to your operating expense again.
But you're not competing with money, right? When you pay that distribution or buy that piece of equipment, you're not touching your tax money.
Correct.
Nope.
You're not touching your personal money.
Correct.
You're not touching the reinvestment money. So that's the same thing. Once my partner Sawyer and I implemented that, we read that book 5 years ago. We've had more money than we've ever had. So again, we help clients implement that.
Yeah.
We should start charging for that, by the way. But again, something we make no money on the onset, but actually make a lot of money on the back end, if you will, is because now clients are reinvesting more and building their wealth, and that's how we make money, and it's a win-win-win.
And it makes business a lot better, because if the business owner doesn't get paid, I've all been here. Who's all been in the spot to where the employees got paid first and they made more than the owner did?
The owner's asking.
That
for
pisses
lunch.
you off. It pissed me off. And I'm like, I am not going to work my butt off, and I'm paying my employees more than I get paid, and I have to keep all of the stress. My name's on the loans. My name is on the personal guarantees. I have to pay for the mortgage every month. I have to pay for the interest every month. They have zero responsibility. It pisses you off. And I got so pissed. I was like, Kyler, there's got to be a different and better way. We found that book, and it actually makes business a lot better and funner. And now you start wanting to come back to work and wanting to grow your business versus seeing it as a headache. And I know every single business owner has gone through this. I have to run this business because that's the only source of income I have now. And it becomes a burden like a 9-to-5 job. You just left a few years ago to start your own financial freedom. That's where business owners get stuck.
Well, how many business owners have you that are well into their business? I've heard business owners been asked the question, if you could go back and do it again, would you?
No.
Their answer is no.
Oh.
I'm like, that sounds like a miserable life. And it's not to say it's been easy, right? Again, it's the whole iceberg effect. I remember days where we had maxed out, and again, in growing the firm, home equity lines of credit, credit cards. And, people see, the cars and the travel and the trips and those things, but they also didn't see you worrying about your card getting declined at Costco because you will make a critical hire for the future growth, right? And so I view the Elevate First system, Profit First, in a manner to where it makes business fun. It's like a game of Monopoly, right? Like I love every month going in and transferring. Like we have a CFO, but I do it because I enjoy doing it. And it just, again, we've had more money than we've ever had. And then you multiply that with a good financial plan and investments and integration of both wealth and insurance.
It makes it fun.
Again, the conversations we have with clients, it's incredible and it's meaningful because they're saying, look, I'm literally altering the trajectory of my last name.
Yeah. We're coming to an end. I always come to the end and I always ask the question, like, you've got a business, you got a couple businesses we were talking about, like, what's one piece of advice that you would speak to our listeners? It can be about financial planning. It can be the truth. Like I always ask in the end of our interview, like, what's that one piece of advice that changed your life?
Learning to love yourself. We get caught in a world to where we care so much about what others think that I think we conform and cripple our own core values in the seeking of praise from others. And the moment that I actually learn, and it sounds selfish, but you have to be selfish in that realm. If you can't love yourself and be unapologetically authentic to who you are, how can you be the best business owner? How can you be the best leader? How can you be the best mentor, friend, father, husband, spouse, wife, doesn't matter. And so for me, no matter any pursuit of any business, any great idea, if you're not being unapologetically authentic to who you are as a person and loving yourself, then it doesn't matter.
So with that being said, start investing in yourself, because if you expect other people to invest in you, if you don't invest in yourself, like personal growth, if you don't if you don't love yourself, why would someone, so it starts with, I agree with you. I think I love that. Yeah. If this helps you, if this helps your business, or if you know of a business, an entrepreneur, young CEO that would can take advantage of this, share this podcast with them, comment down below, subscribe to our channel, and we'll be back with another episode. Thank you for listening. Peace.
God, I'm still counting my blessings.